Now that we know what corpus can be used for in your teaching of LSP, let's look at how this can be done. Whether you want to use corpus linguistics to find out about a specific variety of the language at the lesson planning stage, or to adopt a data-driven learning approach in the classroom at the teaching stage, the first thing for you to do is to build your own specialized corpus. This can either be done manually by selecting text that you already have on your computer in electronic format or that you've simply found and bookmarked on the web, or it can be done automatically with tools like Bootcat, which searches the internet for pages that include word combinations that you've chosen because they're specific to the target domain you're interested in. You can then decide to include or exclude specific types of pages or domain names and to manually discard some of the pages found by the piece of software and let the tool build your corpus from the pages selected. At this stage, you will need to make decisions about the types of texts to include, for example, white papers or research articles, the sources of your texts, commercial websites, scientific journals, and the number of texts to include and the overall word count. If it's generally accepted that corpora have to be large enough to be representative of a given language, a number of studies have shown that the more specialized and specific the domain covered is, the smaller the corpus can be. Sometimes a few thousand words will do the job just fine. Once it's built, your corpus can be analyzed with specific tools, concordances, many of which are free, available online, or offered as an online service. Concordances are text search engines with different sorting functions which make it possible to extract all occurrences of a word and present them in a textual environment, that is to say with context on both sides. Each occurrence of the word corresponds to what's called a concordance line, which displays the key word in context, quick for short, where the target items is centered and in bold or in a different color. This makes it possible for you to search for patterns in the use of specific word forms. Concordances can also generate word frequency lists, which can be useful for materials and test design. So as you probably understand from this, lexis is generally the entry point into corpus analysis. Still, different levels of analysis are possible. You can move from lexis to phraseology and look for collocations, which are co-occurring words, also called multi-word units, lexical bundles, or n-grams. For example, on the other hand. You can also look for colligations, that is, the grammatical company that words keep. For example, the fact that the verb to require is most often followed by the infinitive form. You can also analyze the rhetorical function of a specific n-gram or phrase and try to see if it conveys, whenever it's used, the functional meaning of moves specific to a given genre. For example, the 4-gram has been extensively studied is used to claim topic centrality in research articles. Indeed, remember that LSP practitioners are generally concerned with the frequency and distribution of lexical-grammatical features within specific genres, not independently of them. Finally, another way of analyzing your LSP corpus is to run comparative searches in other corpus types. For example, you could compare the use of a specific word form in your LSP corpus with its use in a general-purpose corpus. Or you could also contrast it with its use in a different domain-specific corpus. For example, you could analyze the way the word solution is used in a chemical engineering corpus and in an environmental science corpus. Now let's look at how to use your corpus with learners in the classroom from a data-driven learning perspective. The idea is to engage learners as analysts or detectives who have to explore authentic language use and draw their own conclusions. In its strong form, DDL often includes 4 steps. Learners first have to formulate a question, then come up with a search strategy, analyze the examples and select the relevant ones, and finally draw their conclusions. As mentioned previously, group work is preferable here, as languaging their findings with their peers is often an important step in their understanding of the way a word form is used. Finally, if you or your learners are afraid of computers, you never know, it's always possible to offer low-tech DDL to your learners. All you have to do is to run the searches in your corpus yourself and to print out the resulting concordance lines. Your learners can then work from the printed versions in class.